a member of the Philly-Palestine Coalition and a Palestinian organizer here in Philly. Today, we are here protesting the debate. We are here because electoralism is a sham. We are here because the two candidates that they want you to choose from are more evil than each other. They want you to think that Kamala Harris is the lesser of two evils. She's in fact not the lesser of two evils. After 8 months, almost a year of the Israeli-made genocide on the Palestinian people, she has failed to call for an arms embargo. Even after a whole year, she still said that she wouldn't do anything differently if she was elected president. Nothing. That the 100,000 Palestinians, the women, the children, the men that have died and were brutally slaughtered, they meant nothing to her. She still states that Israel has the right to defend themselves. How are they defending themselves against a population they are occupying? And let's not forget Trump, who said in a press conference a couple of weeks ago that he would not only expel student protesters, but ship them back to their country, quote unquote. He would deport them. Let's remember that these two candidates are not lesser of two evils. That every 4 years, they try to coerce you into voting for the lesser of two evils. That they wanted you to think that maybe if Trump was president, he wouldn't do the same thing. The genocide and the occupation of the Palestinian people has been going on for 75 years. And president after president after president paid for it and endorsed it. From 1948, from when my family was displaced from their homes, it was USA paid. It was USA made. They want to go out here and tell you that Kamala is a quote-unquote brat, and that she's fun and she's cool, and that she appeals to the young people. I don't want you to forget back in 2020, she said young people are so dumb. So you would be dumb to vote for her. Let's not forget about the pedophile Donald Trump, who slept with children, and yet he's running for office? Let's not forget that these two politicians that are running are the reason half of the college students here are $100,000 in debt. Because year after year after year, they were going to get rid of loans. They were going to make college affordable. How many of us here are $100,000 in debt? How many of us here can't afford to live? Did that change with Biden? Did that change with Trump back in 2020? No. And Kamala herself is a white supremacist, because white supremacy has become multiracial. They want you to coerce you and say, and they keep stating lesser of two evils, and then they have Philly for Kamala. That's a bunch of bullshit. No candidate has ever had the thoughts for the people. No candidate has ever thought about the people. They were all about millionaires lining their pockets. They want you to think that they're going to give you a voice. Well, it's shown that year after year after year, the only voice was given to the whites. On top of being responsible for the displacement of Palestinians back home, they have displaced and allowed millionaires and billionaires to displace the people of West Philly, the people of North Philly. The USA was built on supremacy. You can't expect justice from a country that was built on supremacy. It was built on the backs of black and brown Americans. They want you to think that there is some sort of American dream, either candidate. There is no American dream, especially if you're black and you're brown. For months, both candidates, when they were elected, when she was vice president, when he was president back in 2020, they let hate crime after hate crime after hate crime happen to black and brown Americans. And what they do? Nothing. But their whole campaign was posed around the people. They want you to think that these candidates have the power. It's not true. They don't have the power. You have the power because you vote these people into office. They want you to think that they're to voting, there isn't. They don't have the power. You have the power. Over the past year, on college campuses, it was the students who had the power. It was the students who lit the world on fire, literally. And a lot of us lost everything for it, and are starting to lose everything for it, but we haven't given up. And both of these candidates have said, and have let, Biden and Kamala Harris have let these universities arrest us and suspend us. And Trump said he would even go farther, and he would deport us, and he would take away our student visas. So when you're marching today, I want you to remember that you have the power. You have the power to withhold your vote. Because no matter who you vote for in office, your rights are still taken away from you. Don't let them do that to you. The only thing left you have is your power, and use it. I want you to remember this November what these quote-unquote candidates offered you, what they said that they would do. Because back in 2020, Biden said he would get rid of loans, he would do all these things, but instead, he had the police brutally beat up protesters and lock us in cells. So in November, we'll remember. Come November, we'll remember! Come November, we'll remember! Thank you. Our first speaker is Enes, all the way from New York.
Salam, everyone. You know, some of you I recognize from the National March, believe it or not. For over 11 months, Palestinians in the diaspora have been forced to witness the genocide of our people. Let that sit with you. We have been forced to watch the Democratic Party fund the bombs that killed over 186,000 people. 186,000 people! Yesterday, the IOF unleashed a horrific massacre. A massacre in the El Mawasi camp, burying dozens of Palestinians as they were sleeping in displaced camps, using our tax dollars. We saw pictures of craters and people beneath those craters that are either dead or wishing to be dead. But we must make clear that this is a bipartisan issue. This is a Democratic and Republican issue, and we cannot lose sight of that. They will not get our votes while we are forced to watch our people be slaughtered. They will not get one vote from the pro-Palestinian community. Healthcare workers in Gaza have reached out to me daily, wallahi, daily wishing that they were dead. Daily, because they see more death than we will ever see death in our lifetime. So don't let anyone silence you, whether you're a healthcare worker, whether you're a teacher, a student. Make sure that your voices are heard, because we don't have bombs dropping on our heads daily. We have it easier. So all they can do, they can try to silence us. They can try to remove us from Instagram. They can expel us from schools. They can expel us from hospitals. But that will not stop us from resisting, because Palestinians in Gaza, Palestinians in the West Bank, our resistance, our people taught us resilience and resistance. And we will continue every single day to resist this imperialism. We will resist Democrats. We will resist Republicans until Palestine is liberated from the river to the sea. Every single inch of it. We will resist. We will resist. And wallahi, it makes me so proud to be in Philly and to see the turnout that came out here today. Wallah, it means a lot to me and to every single Palestinian. You guys have no idea. Next time, bring a friend. Keep organizing. Keep coming out to the streets. Do not let them stop you. Do not let them stop you. From New York City, we love you. Keep doing what you're doing, and we'll see you on the streets.
Our next speaker is going to be from Swarthmore SJP for a joint SJP statement about the debate and the elections. Give it up for our students! The student organizers who have been suspended and facing disciplinary action and arrested at every single university here in Philadelphia. The students will lead the revolution. The students will take the occupation down. The students here, with the students in Midzet and in every single university here and abroad, will take down the occupation with our power. So please listen carefully for the next statement written by Joa SJP. Please give it up for SWAT SJP.
The 2024 presidential election approaches as the genocide in Gaza continues to ravage the Palestinian people. Over 186,000 Palestinians have been killed amongst an ethnic cleansing born of Zionism's deeply eliminationist settler colonial ideology. The Zionist entity's obliteration of Gaza and its people are possible in large part due to the United States' unequivocal monetary and political support. Since October 7th, it has become increasingly clear that the United States and Israel are best understood as one state with a shared identity rooted in imperialism, racism, and colonial violence. Under the Biden-Harris administration, the United States has sent $12.5 billion in military support and foreign aid to what has been labeled officially an apartheid state. When war criminal Benjamin Netanyahu visited our American Congress, he received 52 standing ovations from bipartisan elected representatives. Shame! It is for these reasons we believe any principled support of the Palestinian struggle against Zionism must hold a deep skepticism of the foundational and hegemonic institutions of the American settler colonial state, and why our organization stands against participation in the upcoming presidential election. The Zionist settler colonial project is a mirror of the United States. Colonial governmental and administration practices which prove effective in Israel are employed by the United States in what many of you know as the deadly exchange. The expansion of cop city facilities in the United States are based on models sharpened by the Israeli occupation forces, and many American police departments, including the PPD pigs you see around us, are trained by the IOF. These collaborations are reinforced by a common foundational myth: the pillage, plunder, and colonization of a land that settlers sought to empty of its inhabitants, justified by an intrinsic and unquestionable right to the land. We must understand that it is Americans and the American system of global exploitation and state violence that allow apartheid states like Israel to exist. As an organization dedicated to Palestinian liberation, firmly rooted in decolonial principles, Students for Justice in Palestine resolutely rejects the legitimization and participation in the presidential election. We stand against the normalization of oppressive systems and structures of violence, something the presidential election does both domestically and internationally. The presidential is not an opportunity for harm reduction. It is a maintenance of the status quo, a status quo that inflicts violence against its own people and wages war against the global south for the purposes of extraction and capital gain. Shame! We sit in the cradle of empire, one which has developed robust mechanisms to legitimize itself even as it deepens the world's suffering. Liberal democracy is a perverse tool that is wielded by the hegemonic authority to curtail the power of the people. We have been fed lies to believe that the representative government, as we encounter it, encompasses the totality of what politics can and should be. It is quite clear this is not the case. Neither candidate has condemned the genocide against the Palestinian people. Instead, both have reaffirmed their commitment to the Zionist entity's right to continue its campaign of ethnic cleansing. Shame! As the great revolutionary Kwame Ture once said, you vote once in 4 years, and that's your political responsibility. That's the height of bourgeois propaganda, making the people politically irresponsible, thinking their responsibility is limited to a one-day vote. Politics is every day. The election exists to distract us, to demobilize our fight against American empire and its manifestation in the state of Israel. Participating in the upcoming presidential election is a declaration of support for the injustices inflicted upon Palestinians and all who are affected by U.S. policies. Whether blue or red, we are looking at two sides of the same colonial coin. Though the Democratic Party plays up its contrast with Republicans and moves towards the right wing whenever it gets the chance. This is what they did with Reagan, and this is its current response to Donald Trump. During Biden and Harris's time in office, they both oversaw the locking up of immigrants in cages, the whipping of Haitian migrants by border police, and the separation of children and parents seeking asylum. Every election, the same narrative is presented. Prevent fascism. Vote blue, then push left. Engage in harm reduction. And every election, it becomes clear that none of these are possible within our electoral system. By voting for anyone who has played a hand in a genocide and ethnic cleansing, you send a clear message that there is no red line. As long as the Democrats can present themselves as marginally better than their rivals, they earn your vote, no matter how violent or oppressive they are. It is our responsibility to show them that there is a line by threatening their electoral chances. We stand firmly against the U.S. electoral hypocrisy and the notion that any war criminal can ever be redeemable for the sake of bullshit liberal comfortability. Many of us took a stand against President Joe Biden due to his unabashed support of the genocide inflicted upon Palestinians. However, after Biden stepped down from the election, the party machine used this opportunity to sweep the question of Palestine under the rug. We will be clear. Kamala Harris is part of the same political machine as Joe Biden and Donald Trump. We, the people, create our own knowledge, keep each other safe, and pursue progress on our own terms. It is not the state, and certainly not American politicians, who will liberate us. As long as this remains true, we must reject the hypocritical principle that voting is central to our political lives. As brutal images of genocide emerge every day from Palestine, it remains imperative that we do not lose sight of our goals and de-radicalize our movement. It is time for us to mobilize against the Western imperialist apparatus and actively engage in boycotts, strikes, protests, liberated zones, and other forms of direct action. We, As students for justice in Palestine, disavow electoralism and make no concessions to the Zionist entity and its accomplices. Kamala Harris has no interest in a free Palestine, but our movement for liberation has never and will never champion American politicians. It involves us, the people, and we will continue to strike against U.S. empire as we work to dismantle the Zionist entity. Get out of the polls and into the streets. Free Palestine!
We have our next speaker. It's Philly Alliance Against Imperialism. From Palestine to the Philippines. Stop the U.S. war machine. Make some noise if you love Palestine. My name is Nina, and I am with the Philadelphia Alliance Against Imperialism, a working name for a coalition that grew out of the Philly Resist NATO coalition. We are a group of anti-imperialist organizations that are here with you all today in solidarity to protest the presidential debates because we say reject the rotten imperialist two-party system. Down with U.S. imperialism. Defend people's resistance and fight for liberation. Imperialism is not just senseless violence and war. Imperialism is a global economic system which has within it a chronic crisis. It is in chronic crisis because the people who rule this system will extract profit by any means possible. Therefore, the solution is for oppressed and working class people to fight imperialism by any means necessary! The GRP and the Democratic Party are two sides of the same imperialist coin. There is no choice to be made. There is no lesser evil to choose. When this electoral system is built on fear-mongering, the illusion of choice, and political circusry. We must understand that we have a responsibility to fight and see our struggles as interconnected. These imperialist parties are the same parties. Let's not forget that Biden and Harris continued on the migration policy of Trump and built the wall. Both parties did that. Let's not forget that Trump and the Biden-Harris administration both criminalize people who are fighting for a better world, especially the left. Look at all the cop cities that are being built in this country. Let us not forget that Biden-Harris administration passed the Countering Domestic Terrorism program to further surveil progressive and leftist forces. Therefore, we have no illusions on whether or not we should choose Kamala Harris or Donald Trump. We reject both. And we recognize, even here locally, our struggles are connected from Philadelphia to Palestine, to the Philippines, to Korea, to Puerto Rico, to Haiti, and to everywhere. It is connected because we have a common enemy in U.S. imperialism. And the top representatives of U.S. imperialism are right down the fucking street. How easy it is for people to forget that it has not even been a decade since we've had both a Trump and Biden-Harris presidency. Things have been bad, things are bad, and things will continue to get worse. So people must not be coconut pilled into supporting the Democrats, nor should we be put Thank you.
We're going to be reading a statement from the Lion's Den, the cradle of resistance in Palestine, because although these marches are very important, these protests and these direct actions and these organizational marches are very important to hold ourselves accountable, because we are all complicit in the genocide. But we know that these marches are not going to free Palestine, the resistance will. The Palestinians' resistance in the motherland will free Palestine. These marches are for us to hold ourselves accountable and hold our institutions and our country accountable for being complicit in the genocide, because we are all funding it. Whether you're a student paying tuition or a worker getting your paycheck and your tax deducted every paycheck, all of us are paying for this genocide, every single one of us. So as you march, you want to keep that in mind, that you yourself are funding the occupation. You yourself are funding the bombs that are being dropped. And although these protests are very important, we are holding ourselves accountable for what we are paying for. We know that the resistance back home will free Palestine. The resistance in Gaza and in the West Bank and in Lebanon and in Iraq and in Yemen, the resistance will free Palestine, not us. So keep that in mind. So we choose to center the resistance. So we're going to be reading a statement from the Lion's Den, one of the leading resistance cradles in Palestine. And I want you all to listen carefully and fathom those words, because those words are directed to us, the people who are in the country, in the belly of the beast that is funding this genocide. These words are from the resistance fighters themselves about the election. So please keep that in mind and fathom every single word you hear.
This statement was released in November 1st, 2022. On August 28th of this year, the Zionist entity launched their cowardly, criminal invasion of the West Bank. They have bombed mosques, raided refugee camps, taken dozens of people prisoners, shot international activists, and shut down the Jordan entry point. Like Gaza has been for the last 20 years, the West Bank has just become another open-air prison. So we're reminded of the statement released from the Lion's Den, the resistance in Nablus, to us on November 1st, 2022. To those who call for peace, look at their elections and you will see their choices. You will see their results, and you know, despite your knowledge, that you are chasing a mirage. As for the resistance in the Lion's Den, the blessed factions and our lone wolves strike them everywhere. What kind of life is this, that we live in peace with those who abuse our blood and the blood of our children, the blood of our men and sisters? No, by God, either we will crush the oppressor or we will die, as did Al-Wadi, Abu Salah, Al-Nabulsi, Al-Jabari, and Al-Tamimi, your brothers, the Lion's Den. Say it clear and say it loud. Resistance, you make us proud.
We're going to do a quick chant. This will be one of our first times doing it in Philly. It's in Arabic, but I want you all to repeat after me. For this one, we want to let everyone know that we're not only marching for a ceasefire and an arms embargo to free Palestine. We are marching for the right of return for every single Palestinian in the diaspora. So until every single Palestinian returns to their home, we will not stop fighting, we will not stop resisting until we take back our land from the river to the sea. All right, so I'm going to say, we will return in Arabic. And it goes like, Ana raja, raja, raja. So I want you to just say it once after me. And then I'm going to name every single name of the towns and cities in Palestine who have been expelled. And after each one, I want you to say Raja. Okay? Ana Raja, Raja. Ana Raja, Raja. Ana Raja, Raja. Raja Bladi. Raja Bladi. على جنين على جبل النار على صفد ويافا، على بير السابع، على بير السابع، على طوباس، على طوباس، مع كل الناس، مع كل الناس، فلسطين، فلسطين. أنا راجع راجع، أنا راجع راجع، وغصب عنهم، وغصب عنهم، على أرض بلادي، على أرض بلادي، على أرض بلادي. أنا راجع راجع، أنا راجع راجع، أنا راجع راجع، على طوباس، مع كل الناس، على القدس وغزة، على القدس وغزة، على القدس وغزة. أنا راجع راجع، أنا راجع راجع. Free, free Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine!